Welcome to Millennium Daytime Bulletin. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi, and you are watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's top headlines. Netanyahu offers $5 million and safe passage out of Gaza to anyone returning a hostage. Brazilian police arrest 5 in alleged plot to kill President Lula da Silva, probe likely zeroing on Bolsonaro. Azerbaijan accused of cracking down on critics ahead of COP29. Amid soaring ties with India, Canada latest move inconveniences flyers. Russian spy chief says NATO aid for Ukraine missile strikes will be punished. New York City drought warning declared for the first time in over 20 years. Biden administration approves sending anti-personnel mines to Ukraine in another policy change. Thousands of British farmers protest against tractor tax on inheritance. US market rally, Dow future climbed 114 points, Nasdaq gain over 1%. Rafael Nadal farewell to the King of Clay. Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers unbeaten start to the season, Lakers rookie make history and more from the NBA. NFL says it has no issues with Trump dance celebrations. Now let's look at the details. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday offered $5 million and safe passage out of Gaza to anyone returning a hostage. To those who want to leave their entanglement, I say, whoever brings us a hostage will find a safe way out of himself and his family. We will also give $5 million for every hostage, Netanyahu said. Choose, your choice is yours, but the result will be the same. We will bring them all back. Speaking at the Netzarim corridor in central Gaza alongside Defense Minister Israel Katz, Netanyahu added that whoever harmed a hostage would pay the price. His announcement was met with outrage from the mother of Martin Zangwaker, one of the hostages still held in Gaza. The Prime Minister is trading the hostages' lives, said Yanav Zankar. They criticized Netanyahu for offering money to Hamas and said it his attempt to divide and rule in Gaza through bribes to the captors would put the hostages at risk as well. It is unbelievable that this man would fund Hamas is once again offering money to Hamas, he said, referring to a controversial deal in which Qatar sent millions of dollars to Gaza for years with Israel's backing. Netanyahu defended the initiative when it was launched in 2018, saying it was meant to return calm to Israeli villages in the south and prevent a humanitarian disaster in Gaza. Let's look at this special coverage.
אנחנו לא נותנים חסינות לאף מחבל, לא בעזה, לא בלבנון, לא בסוריה ולא בשום מקום. מי שמנסה לפגוע בנו, אנחנו פוגעים בו. בעניין חטופינו, אנחנו החזרנו עד היום 110 מהחטופים הביתה, אנחנו מחויבים להחזיר את כולם. זהו אחד מיעדי המלחמה, והלחץ הצבאי הוא תנאי הכרחי להשלמתו. אני עובד בעניין הזה סביב השעון, אבל שיהיה ברור. אני דוחה על הסף את תנאי הכניעה של מפלצות החמאס. החמאס דורש תמורת שחרור חטופינו את סיום המלחמה, הוצאת כוחותינו מעזה, שחרור כל הרוצחים והאנסים של הנוח'בה והשארת חמאס על כנו. אם נסכים לכך, לוחמינו נפלו לשווא. אם נסכים לכך, לא נוכל להבטיח את ביטחון אזרחינו, לא נוכל להחזיר את המפונים בבטחה לבתיהם, והשבעה באוקטובר הבא יהיה רק עניין של זמן. אני לא מוכן להשלים עם פגיעה אנושה כזאת בביטחון ישראל, ולכן לא נסכים לכך. התנאים שמעמיד החמאס מחדדים אמת פשוטה. אין תחליף לניצחון. רק ניצחון מוחלט יבטיח את חיסול החמאס והחזרת כל חטופינו. את הדברים האלה אמרתי לנשיא ביידן בשיחתנו בסוף השבוע. אני מאוד מעריך את התמיכה של ארצות הברית בישראל, גם הבעתי זאת בפני הנשיא. ועם זאת, אני עומד בתוקף על האינטרסים החיוניים שלנו. הדגשתי בפני הנשיא ביידן את הנחישות שלנו להשלים את כל יעדי המלחמה ולהבטיח שעזה לא תהווה עוד איום על ישראל. ולכן אני עומד על כך שאחרי שנשיג את הניצחון המוחלט, אחרי שנחסל את החמאס, לא יהיה בעזה שום גורם שמממן טרור, מחנך לטרור או משלח טרור. עזה חייבת להיות מפורזת בשליטה ביטחונית מלאה של מדינת ישראל. אני לא אתפשר על שליטה ביטחונית ישראלית מלאה על כל השטח ממערב לירדן. כראש ממשלת ישראל, אני עמדתי בתוקף על העמדה הזאת, מול לחצים בינלאומיים ופנימיים כבירים. ההתעקשות שלי היא שמנעה במשך שנים הקמת מדינה פלסטינית שהייתה מהווה סכנה קיומית לישראל. וכל עוד אני ראש הממשלה, אמשיך לעמוד עליה בתקיפות. אם למישהו יש עמדה אחרת, שיגלה מנהיגות ויגיד את עמדתו ביושר לאזרחי ישראל.
Brazil on Tuesday arrested 4 military officers and an ex-police official in connection with an alleged plot to overthrow the government of President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, elected in October 2022. According to the investigation, the alleged conspirators also planned to kill Lula, Vice President Geraldo Alckmin, and Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. The plot involved 4 military personnel trained in the Army Special Forces and a retired high-ranked police official. They wanted to prevent the inauguration of the legitimately elected government and undermine the free exercise of democracy and the authority of Brazilian judiciary. De Moraes, who was authorized for the probe, said in his order the judge added these actions speaking between November and December 2022 were part of a broader conspiracy to carry out the coup. Earlier this year, 2 top military leaders who served under Jair Bolsonaro, the president defeated in 2022, told police that the right-wing politician presented a plan that would have seen him retain power in the event of an adverse outcome. However, both refused and warned Bolsonaro they would arrest him if he went ahead with the plan. Judicial documents released in March showed, meanwhile, President Lula was informed of the warrant early on Tuesday morning, but is yet to speak on the police operations. Several international human rights organizations have raised alarm about Azerbaijan's crackdown on rights defenders, government critics, and journalists before the start of the COP29 climate change conference, currently being held in its capital Baku. We urge every delegation attending COP29 to press the Azerbaijani government to end its clampdown on civil society, guarantee the right to freedom of expression, association, and peaceful assembly throughout and beyond the conference, and take meaningful actions to reverse the deterioration of human rights in the country, Amnesty International said in a statement before the start of the event on November 11. The United Nations Annual Conference on Combating Global Warming, COP29, began last week as the Azerbaijani government escalated its crackdown on government critics. Azerbaijani government authorities have jailed at least 18 to 20 journalists since November 2023, many of them facing charges of currency smuggling. All of them deny the allegations, calling them bogus. The unsigned response later from the Azerbaijani authorities to the Council of Europe Commissioner emphasizes that Azerbaijan remains committed to upholding its international obligations, including those under international human rights law, and ensuring the safety and freedom of all persons. The letter said it should be emphasized that no journalist or media representative is being targeted for carrying out their professional work in Azerbaijan. Every individual, irrespective of their standing, is equal before the law and is expected to adhere to the legislation in force. As this forum and the foundation of the rule of law principle is upheld, therefore, it is up to utmost importance to exercise due diligence and refrain from any actions, especially calling for immediate releases of persons under criminal investigation that may be construed as interfering with the judicial process. Let's look at this small video.
I'm here in Baku and we just co-organized the side event on the importance of meaningful civil society participation for just and ambitious climate action. Independent voices are essential because they hold governments accountable for their actions and push for more ambitious outcomes in climate negotiations. But Azerbaijan, as COP29 host, is setting a poor example of fostering independent voices in climate negotiations. When we look around this venue, we don't see any Azerbaijanis with an independent voice because they're either behind bars, in exile, or otherwise silenced. The Azerbaijani government is carrying out a vicious attack against activists, human rights defenders, and journalists. And this repression has intensified in the lead up to COP29. For truly meaningful civic participation, Azerbaijan should end its crackdown on civil society and should release all those unjustly.
Canada's Transport Minister Anita Anand said the security for travelers to India was enhanced out of an abundance of caution. Amid growing tensions between New Delhi and Ottawa, passengers traveling from Canada to India are being subjected to extra screening now. The decision was announced by Canada's Transport Minister Anita Anand late on Monday evening as part of new temporary protocols implemented out of an abundance of caution. Transport Canada was implemented temporary additional security screening measures for travelers to India. Ms. Anand was quoted by saying by Canadian broadcaster CBC that passengers may experience some screening delays while these measures are in place. The enhanced security protocols will be implemented by the Canadian Air Transport Security CATSA, the agency responsible for screening passengers and their baggage before entering the restricted area of Canadian airports. In view of new protocols, Air Canada has warned passengers bound for Indian destinations of longer security wait times and asked them to reach their airport at least 4 hours before their scheduled departure. Due to heightened security mandates by Transport Canada for all passengers traveling to India, security wait times are expected to be longer than anticipated for your flight upcoming. To minimize any disruptions to your travel plans, we recommend you arriving 4 hours prior to your flight departure. We appreciate your patience and understanding. The notification added. Russia will retaliate against NATO countries that facilitate long-range missile strikes against Russian territory by Ukraine. Foreign Intelligence Chief Sergei Narshenkin said in an interview published on Wednesday. Narshenkin said changes announced by President Vladimir Putin to Russia's nuclear doctrine meant it wasn't, in effect, impossible to defeat Russia on the battlefield. Our enemies are forced to admit that the determination of the Russian president to firmly defend the country's fundamental interest by all available means narrows the room for maneuver for Washington and Brussels. He told the magazine National Defense, the military political elites of the West are becoming increasingly aware of the seriousness of Russia's intention and the need for greater restraint in their actions in order to avoid getting involved in a direct military conflict with our country, which could lead to catastrophic consequences for them. Narshinkin said the US National Security Council has said it has not seen any reason to adjust the US nuclear posture. But Narshinkin said the Russian changes, which Putin first announced in September, had met with caution in the West. The warning extends beyond the city to include 10 additional New York State counties, including much of the Hudson Valley. In the rest of the state, which is also experiencing abnormally dry conditions, Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a drought watch. Although no restrictions are required under a drought warning, officials are urging residents to voluntarily conserve water while water supplies focus on contingency plans. The city reservoirs, which are unusually around 79% full at this time of the year, are down to about 60% to their total capacity, and the inch of rain forecast in the coming days will not be enough to replenish them. Officials said New York City has received less than a quarter inch of rain since October 1. According to the National Weather Service, one such contingency plan involves the pause of the Delaware Aqueduct repair project, a $2 million 8-month initiative planned for decades that required the shutdown of a crucial tunnel responsible for transporting about half the city's water supply. Since repair began in early October, access to 4 major reservoirs in the Catskill Mountain have been cut off. The Biden administration has approved sending anti-personnel mines to Ukraine for the first time in another major policy shift. According to two US officials, the decision comes just days after the US gave Ukraine permission to fire long-range US missile at targets in Russia, a shift that only occurred after months of lobbying from Kyiv. The US intends for Kyiv to use the anti-personnel mines in the eastern part of the country, where Russian troops have made slow and steady progress against Ukrainian defensive lines. The grinding battle has cost Moscow tremendously, with Ukraine claiming Russia suffered its highest number of casualties this week, but Russia's unrelenting pressure, coupled with shortages in Ukraine manpower and ammunition, has allowed the Russian military to gradually seize more territory. The US expect Ukraine to use these anti-personnel mines to bolster defensive lines with sovereign Ukrainian territory, not as an offensive capability in Russia. The US has also sought assurances that Ukraine will try to limit the risk to civilians from the mines. Thousands of farmers protested at Britain's parliament on Tuesday, some driving tractors through the central London to demand the scrapping of an inheritance tax that say they will destroy family farms and threaten food production. The measure, dubbed detractor tax by critics and announced in the new government's budget last month as it sought to raise funds, has drawn an angry backlash from farmers who say the ruling Labour Party does not understand rural communities. The protesters held placards stating "No farmer, no food, no future" and "Starmer, the farmer harmer" is in reference to the Minister Keir Starmer. Police estimated about 10,000 protesters took part. The passing of farm down through generations was tax-free, but under the policy set out by Finance Minister Rachel Reeves, from 2026, 20% tax would be paid on the value of a farm above £1 million. Existing personal allowances, which a married couple can combine, takes the threshold for a farm and associated property up to £3 million. We will be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi. Keep watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin.
Millennium Day News is a global news network dedicated to providing high-quality coverage across a wide range of topics, including local, regional, national, and international issues. Operating 24/7, the network emphasizes inclusivity, offering a platform for diverse voices and covering essential subjects such as arts, culture, religion, education, and legal advice. Based in New York City, Millennium Day News connects communities worldwide through engaging programming that includes political discussions, sports news, health segments, and entertainment features. To ensure accessibility, viewers can access content via mobile apps, iOS and Android, Internet Smart TVs, and streaming services like Roku and Amazon Fire, as well as through IPTV and satellite networks. For more information and updates, visit their websites millenniumnews24.com and millenniumtv24.com or follow them on social media and YouTube under Millennium News 24. As they continue to expand, viewers can look forward to a broader array of news programs that reflect the diversity of the global community. Whether you're interested in current events or cultural discussions, Millennium Day News is dedicated to keeping you informed and connected.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you are watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin. Now bringing your attention to the latest updates on today's market trends. The global indices paint a mixed picture today, while the Gift Nifty made modest gains, closing at 23,730.50, up by 61 points or 0.26%. The Dow Jones took a slight dip, shedding 120.66 points to settle at 53,000 points, a 0.28% decline. On the brighter side, the Nasdaq rallied strongly, adding 191.62%, a gain of 1.02%, closing at 18,000. European DAX index followed the suit, climbing 77% to 19,000%, 0.41% gain. On the Indian front, market activity was dominated by heavyweights in the most active stock category. HDFC Bank stood out, gaining 37.15, close to 1,700, with a remarkable trading volume of 4,433 crores. Axis Bank also made a positive move, adding 7.75, closing to 1,000, while M&M surged impressively by 102, a substantial 3.5% gain. Ending the day with 2,900, Reliance bucked the trend, slipping 1.9, close to 1,200 despite strong trading volumes. In terms of overall market breadth, the advance decline ratio shows a bullish tilt with 1,600 decline, signaling strong investors' confidence today. To sum up, while global markets displayed a mixed bag, Indian indices and active stocks reflected resilience and optimism. The US market has shown an encouraging performance today with all three major indices closing in the green. The Dow Jones futures rose by 114 points, reaching 43,000, a 0.26% increase. The steady uptrend reflects positive investor sentiment as seen in the upward movement throughout the day. Similarly, the Nasdaq continued its upward trend, gaining 191 points or 1.2%, ending at 18,000, while the S&P 500 also saw a moderate gain of 23.36%, closing at 5,916, a rise of 0.40%. Interestingly, the advanced decline data reveals a healthy market breadth with 11 advancing and only 20 declining, showing that overall market sentiments have remained positive despite volatility earlier in the day. With this positive performance, the US markets are on track for a strong close this week, signaling investor confidence. Now, time for some sports highlights. With tears in his eyes, Rafael Nadal said goodbye to professional tennis on Tuesday in a message to his adoring fans. One of the all-time greatest athletes said he just wanted to be celebrated for something so simple. I just want to be remembered as a good person and a kid that followed their dreams and achieved more than what I have ever dreamed, the Spanish great modestly said after playing in his final match. Despite Nadal and Spain having just been shockingly ousted from the Davis Cup by the Netherlands, the 38-year-old appeared at peace with his decision to walk away from a trophy-laden career while listening to his prayer praise with a tribute video. It was such a privilege to play with you, but especially against you, Roger Federer said. Congratulations on the most incredible career. Novak Djokovic added, your tenacity, your fighting spirit, the energy that you brought, the power is something that will be studied and something that will be transferred to many, many generations that are coming up. Let's see this video. The Boston Celtics handed the Cleveland Cavaliers their first defeat of the season on Tuesday, holding off a spirited fight back to record a thrilling 120-117 victory. The Cavaliers became just the fourth team in NBA history to start a season 15-0, but a huge night from Boston star Jason Tatum ensured Cleveland left TD Garden with a 1. In the loss column, Tatum finished with 33 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists and 2 steals in an all-around performance. The rest of the team shared the scoring burden for Boston, with a total of 6 players reaching double figures. Al Horford had 20 points, Derek White 19, Jalen Brown 17, Peyton Pritchard 13, and Drew Holiday had 11. White said after the game that the players felt the added excitement of hosting the only unbeaten team in the league, a team the Celtics ousted in the Eastern Conference's semi-finals last season. Everybody knew that they were undefeated and farming to our building, he said, and also it's the NPA Cup group, and we have already lost one game. It was a really big game in that respect, so we all are aware. The NFL has no issue with its player incorporating the Trump dance into their on-field celebrations. San Francisco 49ers defensive and Nick Bosa celebrated a sack of Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield in Week 10 by performing President-elect Donald Trump's signature dance that has gone viral. He was joined over the weekend by Las Vegas Raiders tight end Brock Bowers, Tennessee Titans wide receivers Calvin Ridley and Nick Westbrook Ekine, and Detroit Lions defender Zadarius Smith and Malcolm showing off their renditions after big plays. There's no issue with the celebratory dance such as what took place on Sunday or the previous week with the 49ers on November 10, NFL spokesperson Brian McCarthy told Front Office Sports. It's up to their network to cover them as they see fit. NFL rules allow for players to celebrate as long as the celebrations are not excessive and don't feature violent or sexually suggestive acts. Players are also not allowed to wear printed hats or clothing that promote political opinions, and Bosa was fined $11,000 for wearing a Make India America Great Again game. Now let's take a closer look at the weather trends and what you can expect as you plan your day ahead. Stay tuned for all details. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on our social media platforms Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Millennium News 24. You can watch us on Android and iOS devices as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and the latest news with us. Download the Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA for Android and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News 24.